I'm going to be talking about the present and the future of Edmonton as a winter city. What are we doing right and what are we doing well, and what can we continue to build on? But before we get to all of that, I think we need to establish some common understanding of what a winter city is. So we have this nifty definition here from the Winter Cities Institute, but let me just sum it up for you. It's really as much about attitude as it is about latitude. Winter cities are those communities, generally in the north, that have found ways of embracing and falling in love with winter. They use winter as an inspiration for designing public spaces and buildings, as motivation for recreation and celebrations. They're the cities that share the wonders of winter with the world. Now, there's no question that Edmonton is a city with winter, but are we a winter city? I think that really depends on what words come to mind when you talk about winter to the average Edmontonian. Is it fun and picturesque and festive, or has winter really become a six-letter word that invokes a lot of four-letter words? Words like cold and snow and dark and long and dull, and that one that's worst of all, hate. You see, we've become so obsessed with the worst of winter, that 10% of the season that we had earlier this week that's really difficult to deal with, that we'll do anything to avoid it. We've tried to engineer our way out of having winter. So we shuffle around in pedways for 5 months a year. We commute from home to work or school and back without our skin ever coming into contact with fresh air. And, you know, we've really missed out. We've missed out on the warm days with long walks. We've missed out on rink-side hot chocolate breaks and seeing the city set aglow with that gorgeous winter light. But I really think that this needs to change, and it is starting to change. Here are some recent headlines about winter in Edmonton. And I think they all point to the fact that our collective icy stare is starting to melt a little bit. I think my favorite actually came out in the December issue of Avenue magazine. It minces no words. It just gives us 25 reasons to fall in love with an Edmonton winter. Stargazing, winter parties, tobogganing, cold weather fashion, and of course, so much more. I mean, honestly, there's probably very few things on the list that are news to you because you're already at that point of awareness. You're already in the place where you're excited about winter and you understand the opportunity that we have, and you're the champions of what I like to call cold city cool. But unfortunately, you're also the minority. And you need to become evangelists, like Simon was talking about earlier. You need to become the people that help create a mind shift within your networks, your families, your relatives, your communities, your coworkers, so that the word that springs to mind when we think about Edmonton in winter is love. But before we can get to that point, I think we need to start telling the truth about winter, and we need to bust some of the myths about Edmonton's winter. The first is that there's nothing to do, that we just hibernate. And the reality is, it would probably take you 3 winter seasons to get through all of the public facilities and recreation spots that we have in our city. I mean, in the River Valley alone, there are 20 parks where you can toboggan or snowshoe or play a game of hockey. It also has 37 kilometers of walking and cycling trails and 50 kilometers of groomed cross-country trails. And throughout the city, we have 4 different facilities where you can go downhill skiing. The second myth is that our city just isn't an attractive place to be in winter, but if anything, winter gives Edmonton, or Edmontonians a chance to see some of our marquee attractions through a brand new light. So whether it's the River Valley or the Mootart Conservatory or the legislature, they all look gorgeous with this backdrop of winter snow and winter light. And there are new experiences as well. I mean, how many of us have been on a moonlit snowshoe excursion through Fort Edmonton or gone bird watching at the John Jansen Nature Center? And so many of our areas that attract people are really well groomed and maintained, whether it's 118th or White Ave or Horilac Park. And another thing that we do really well is add light to the city. And that's important because it creates spaces that are not only attractive, but they're safe and they're functional and they're inviting. So when I talk about this, I don't mean just going to Candy Cane Lane in December. I mean looking around from November through March at the LED fixtures that we have on buildings and the garlands that we wrap around trees. The next myth is that we just don't get out there and party during winter. And the fact is that last year, a third of all of our public celebrations happened in our winter months, and they drew really significant crowds of over 120,000 people. That's a lot of people. And that only happened because we delivered really innovative programming. I mean, in the last few years, we've seen things like Aboriginal winter camps. We launched a rocket sled across the North Saskatchewan. We had a frosty evening of outdoor Cirque du Soleil style performances. And the trend continues. I mean, a few weeks ago at Deep Freeze, which again attracted record crowds, they had an eclectic mix of events, things like deep freezer races where they put freezers on skis. And right now we're in the midst of Metropolis, which is right outside our doors. Ice on White, which is doing something really cool this year by partnering with the activities that are happening at the legislature and connecting that with a free streetcar. And we're just a few weeks away as well from the Mill Creek Adventure Walk and the Silver Skate Festivals. The fourth myth, that we don't take care of our city in winter. And I mean, there's no question that it's more challenging to take care of a city in winter than it is in summer. And roadways, bike paths, and pedestrian thoroughfares are really important to making the city come alive during those winter months. So I'm not going to speak to that too much. I'll let these videos explain some of the changes that the city has taken in developing this.
The City of Edmonton actually has a comprehensive snow policy which lays out the level of service that will be provided. Of course, we're funded appropriately. The key to that policy is plowing of the main roadways. That encompasses the arterials and collectors. The level of service defined in policy is that after the end of a snowstorm, we will plow to bare pavement on the arterial and collector road system, and that includes the bus routes through the neighborhoods, down to bare pavement within 48 hours at the end of the snowfall. And that's a key part of the policy. Of course, there is the sanding. We actually operate 24/7 from mid-October through to mid-April to provide sanding for abrasive and for traction anytime it's needed. What's new for this year is the residential plowing, the change in residential plowing. We went to the citizens of Edmonton to review with them what it is they wanted. We had focus groups, we had surveys, and the feedback we got was they wanted an improvement in residential plowing. The old policy, it stated that we would go in and maintain a level snowpack of 10 centimeters or less, which meant that we were allowing the snowpack to build up some, and then we'd go in and level it off and keep it down to that 10 centimeters or less. The difference this year is that not just that we're going to go down to a 5 centimeter or less snowpack, but once we are completed the plowing on the arterial and collector system, we would continue and do a round of blading in the residential areas to maintain a level snowpack less than 5 centimeters. What that means is we're going to be in there more frequently and more preventive approach. What it's all focused around is easier mobility. Once that snowpack softens up, and it can in the middle of winter as well as in spring, it becomes difficult to navigate because it will rut down, and that's where it's difficult to cross the ruts, to get in and out of the ruts. You can get stuck, you know, trying to pull into your driveway. So the less snowpack means that, number one, it will thaw faster. Of course, it will melt down faster, but it will be much easier to navigate under those conditions.
Yeah, so the exciting part isn't when they get towed, it's the fact that you can find out about residential blading or parking bans in your neighborhood through an email news alert or just a follow on Twitter. And our final myth, this is the one I think that hurts us the most, it's that winter keeps us apart from the people that we love. But the reality is that there's so many ways that communities come together throughout the winter months. There's an example that's been going on for a number of years called the Macaulay Cup, where that neighborhood's youth play a game of hockey against some city beat cops. And communities are really active, especially at that neighborhood level. This is a map from the Edmonton Federation of Community Leagues, and it shows all 125 community league maintained rinks throughout the city. And they're doing a lot of other things too. They're helping deliver the Snow Shack program, which is a drop-in program for kids. And they also maintain those community sandboxes, so it's easier for you to keep your sidewalks clear. And there's actually a whole other program developed around that, so we'll take a look.
The Snow Angel program is a new program that's designed to help seniors with snow shoveling. Winter's a really difficult time for seniors, and so this is a recognition program where seniors can recognize volunteers who are helping to shovel their walks. So far this year we've got over 100 Snow Angels, and a lot of times the seniors are so thrilled to tell us their story. One example is a local school, Crestwood School. There was a leadership class of grade 7 students that wanted to help out people in the neighborhood, and they've adopted this fellow who's 93 years old who lives across the street.
I was very happy, extremely happy, because I haven't been able to do it for a number of years.
He's a big part of the school. He often volunteers himself to speak at the school or help out, and so we're just giving back.
But what it's really done is so exciting. It's created a community that looks out for seniors, and the seniors are so grateful for this service. So these students are amazing. They've adopted everybody in that block and are busy shoveling snow all winter.
I just put the idea in there that, well, Mr. Cates might need a little bit of help this winter, and they just jumped all over it. What can we do? And they come out early morning, starting at 8, before school and at noon hour, and they start shoveling Mr. Cates' walk.
So we found it's much more than snow shoveling. It's a great way to really get to know each other and feel a part of how we can help each other out.
One reason is because teenagers, you always hear the bad things they're doing these days, and now we can hear that they're giving back and doing something good.
We feel that this is an opportunity to give back, and we also want to. This is a way to say thanks.
You know, it's a program like this that really brings out the best of Edmontonians. We have heard such amazing stories. So we're really asking Edmontonians to look out for the senior and find someone that could benefit from this service. And I think Edmonton as a city is a fabulous volunteer component. And so this is just another great way where we're really showcasing how supportive people are of each other.
And it's not just at the neighborhood level. The creative community is really active as well. Next month, on February 18th, for example, Latitude 53 will host their first ever parka patio party on their rooftop. So outside, it'll be a heated patio with cocktails and food and DJs, and inside, more cocktails and food and DJs, as well as a silent art auction and some winter-themed installations from local artists. And later that month, just a few blocks away in the Alley of Light, will be treated to Illuminite. And this event will transform that pocket park that's north of the Sobeys on Jasper into an illuminated after-sunset gallery space. So teams will come together and use the element of light to design structures or sculptures or art pieces, and everything will be on display the evening of February 25th in the alley. So with those 5 myths busted, I think it's pretty easy to see that there's a lot that we're already doing right. So let's learn from these successes and continue to create made in Edmonton solutions for embracing winter. You see, building a winter city is a lot like building a ski or toboggan hill. First, you need to build the base, then you need to groom the trail, and then you need to get people excited about the ride. And a lot of that really centers on public spaces and public life. As we move forward, we really need to ensure that our built environments are as lively and functional and attractive in our coldest months as they are in our warmest. And this is really important because there are just so many new projects that are coming on stream in the next few years. The ones that I have here are just a sample, just the tip of the iceberg. And because of this, because of all the changes, we need to get really comfortable asking, what will this look like in winter? How will people engage with this space when the snow falls and the temperature drops? One project that's using winter as a muse for design is the city center airport redevelopment. So here we see a proposed toboggan hill, which will no doubt be a hub of activity for the families that live in the community, but there's also more to it than that. Just like the design which staggers streets inside the new neighborhood, this hill acts as a natural barrier for wind. And then the buildings at the top of the hill are designed to capture the maximum amount of that beautiful south-facing light. And it's not the only project to take a four-season approach to design. Here's what we might see in a few years at the new Centennial Plaza development at the Legislature grounds. People walking the pedestrian mall, skating. You can almost see the ringside hot chocolate stand all built. And this is what we might be treated to, again, just a few blocks away at the Royal Alberta Museum. People outside in winter, enjoying the grounds, and what I think in the corner is them building a snowman. It's exciting because these projects are imminent. This is all happening. And so it seems really clear that there's no question that the time and the opportunity to reclaim and redefine and reimagine winter is right now. And what's even more exciting is that ours aren't the first footprints in the snow. We've already learned how to embrace winter and our natural landscapes as outdoor playgrounds. And we've found ways of connecting with each other throughout the winter months. We've empowered our creative communities to come together and celebrate the season, and we even have a strategy around managing snow. And so when you look at all of these elements that we have in play, strong festivals and programs, season-appropriate design, diverse recreation facilities, it seems inevitable that we're going to continue to build on it. So let's start telling that story. Let's let winter become a time of inspiration and celebration for Edmontonians. Let's turn winter into our rallying cry. How will that happen? What's next for us? What's possible? That's really for you to shape. Just remember that when it comes to building our WinterCity strategy, we're a lot closer to the top of the hill than we think. Thank you.